Then in 2020 we launched the Summer Aviation Forum here in Athens. We organized, Michal remember, and Andreas and Angelos in the past, also in Rhodos for a couple of years. Then the idea is to have a different topic, combine the aviation with tourism, but this aviation is part of the tourist industry. In Greece it's 1/4 of the GDP comes from tourism industry, and this, as I said, in 2020 was the only event. Either you call me crazy or took a risk, whatever. We organized a physical event. That was the only global event took place in 2020. David was here. Andrea, you were here in 2020. I remember, yeah, you were here. Then we had the first official visit of the president of the ICAO to an event that was here in the garden. Therefore, we continue now after 5 years to organize the Aviation Forum, the Summer Aviation Forum. In principle, we talk issues that link aviation and tourism. As I said to you earlier, unfortunately, we don't have the CEO of Prof Greece because he was not feeling well today. Therefore, we start a little bit later, and also we start with the award ceremony. Therefore, we saw the awards about operations earlier today. Then we move now that the link to it, because at the end the customer is the king. Then the people travel for also holiday means, and especially I have this, the feeling, and many people say that now more and more people travel for leisure than for business as used to be, due of the new technology with Zoom and subsidized with other ways of communication. However, we know we are the connectors, and aviation people travel all time around the globe. That's why we have met with most of you around the globe. We were with Costin together in Delhi a couple of weeks ago. Here is colder than in Delhi.
Bad. 10 times, million times better.
Okay, multiple. Then, as I said, then we start with the 3 awards. Then the first is the Connectivity Award. Then this year the winner is Chunyao Airline. Chunyao Air. Then it is an airline that is start operating aggressively, especially in Europe. Last year it started the route not only in Athens but also in Brussels. And then they expand. They have a new fleet expansion this year. Then I'm really happy to invite Tomo, that is the general manager of Chunyao Air here in Greece, to accept the award on behalf of Chunyao Air. Please. Here? No. Okay, the boss here. And any for your... Please,
Hello, sir.
You speak in Greek or in Chinese or
in Chinese? Now you know Chinese. A short speech. Dear Mr. Kostas, distinguished guests, lady, no lady here, only one, okay. Lady and gentlemen, it's a great honor to stand here representing my company, Airlines, to receive this award. I know many of you may not be familiar with our company. We are a medium-sized carrier, private carrier from China. We started our direct flight from Athens to Shanghai last year. That's why we're still new to this market. So I really want to say thank you to Mr. Kostas again to give us this opportunity to introduce ourselves. In the past year, with the strong support from the different groups in Greece, such as the airport, our partner airlines and the travel agencies, we work hard. And I'm happy to say we made at least our chairman satisfied.
Only your chairman? Everyone has to be satisfied.
But he has to be satisfied. In the future, Airlines will keep improving our business. We plan to add more flights from between Shanghai and Athens to make the connection even better. We'll keep improving our service quality as well. Our goal is to have more Chinese people travel to Europe and encourage more Europeans to visit Asia. Thank you all for this award and for your support. It's a privilege to be part of this aviation community, and we hope to build better partnerships in the future. Thank you.
Congratulations. Then the next award, the corporate award. Then this year we give it to Air Serbia, and Air Serbia have a really expansion with route development all over Europe. At the same time, increase of the fleet, especially working also with Embraer to expand the fleet, and also have long-haul destination like Shanghai, New York, Chicago. Say correctly, Zeliko? And for today, representative of Air Serbia, Zeliko Stoici. Okay, I said it as much best I could. Head of Trade, Corporate and Commercial Strategy at Air Serbia, and a good friend that we know each other for a while, to accept the award on behalf of Air Serbia team. Zeliko. The boss. Okay, let me get okay, enjoy.
To be honest, I haven't prepared the speech, but I can talk for hours.
Okay.
Anyway, Kostas and everybody, thank you very much. On behalf of Air Serbia, I'm grateful for this award. We appreciate very much. Air Serbia this year managed to increase the number of passengers by 6% over last year, which is excellent, and we have opened 6 new routes to China, Italy, also to Greece, to Mykonos.
Yes.
And definitely we are looking to improve even further the quality of service. Actually, we have opened at Belgrade Airport a new premium check-in dedicated to business class passengers. They can enjoy seating. While seated, they can enjoy a cup of coffee while the boarding pass is being printed out and so on. And by the end of this year, we will open a new premium lounge at Belgrade Airport, which will be far bigger than the current one. Anyway, I thank you very much. I'm honored to be able to meet all of you. Hope to see you again. And my gratitude and respect. Thank you very much.
Then the last award, because you know the leader of the award should be for Alexander Chinel, but you know as he's not here, we will deliver him the award when we'll be back on track. And you know Alexander, with the team of Fraport Greece, really made a great improvement of all the airports in a very special condition, because they start the process the privatization after 2017. Then during COVID times, they managed to accomplish the full refurbish or even modernize the airport or even build the terminals and so on very ahead of time. Then made a great job, and Alexander laid this team all this year. Then unfortunately we don't have him today at the city. Then the last award for today, it's the organization award, and I'm pleased to give this award today to the University of the Aegean, the Department of Tourism, Economics and Management, that celebrates 20 years this year.
No, we celebrate 25 years
25.
for our MSc program.
Okay, then it's the first MBA about tourism in Greece. As we said earlier, the University of the Aegean with Hermes, we established this Aviation MBA program starting next year. Then they have really contributed to the evolution of, with the research, with the evolution of Greek tourism, and working together with all the ministry, with SETE, that's Industry Association Enterprise of Greece, Tourist Enterprise of Greece, and you know many people studied there. Then their contribution to the development of our hard main industry for Greece is coming and from tourism and Aegean contribute that. Then Andreas and Petros that are from the University of the Aegean will accept the award from behalf of the university. And if you haven't been today, it's a little bit difficult day for Chios because it is where the headquarters of the tourism program is. We had a wildfire yesterday, and our thoughts are with these people. They're a little bit suffering today. Hope things will be back on time. It might be really easy, to know that it will be back. Then Andrea and Petro, please.
Thank you.
Εγώ τι θα κάνω, να το παίρνω εγώ.
Όχι, το
Έτσι να το παίρνω εγώ. It's like I get the award. Yeah, I give to you, then you have. Yeah, no, you have it. It's yours.
Thank you.
Okay, both of you. The teamwork.
So on behalf of our department, Department of Tourism, Economics and Management, we would like to cordially thank you for this award in recognition of our contribution to tourism research and studies in Greece. Our university was set up about 40 years ago. We recently had a major celebration of its first department, Department of Business Administration, out of which the new Department of Tourism, Economics and Management emanated a few years ago. We're also, of course, the oldest postgraduate program in tourism in Greece, with over 500 graduates. Our program was established about 25 years ago, and as we mentioned before, we're about to innovate once again by introducing a new MBA program in collaboration with Democritus University of Crete, and it's going to be the first MBA program in Greece regarding air transport management. It's expected to be accredited in the next couple of weeks by the government, and then we expect to welcome our first cohort of students in January or February 2026. Petro, would you like to say a few things?
Yeah. I would say that the University of the Aegean is a young university, so very familiar with innovation and novelty. In the last years we established as a research institution to give some numbers in order to have a clear idea what we do in the University of the Aegean. We receive 10 million funding from the government, and we are able to produce more than 20 million euros per year from the research we do, from the training programs we have, for the other activities of the research and education community of the university. So we are very successful in giving more value to the public funding. In the research years we have been established as a education institution in Greece by providing 25 master's programs located in the different islands. This is perhaps the 26th, the most international program, and it is the beginning of a strategy for becoming more global, internationalization, create links with the industry, with the outside world, and of course providing value, the value we have accumulated all these years to the students and the all those who will register with us and become parts of the MBA community. Thank you very much.
And can I ask all the awardees to come for a family picture, please? Then Petro, Fomo, Zeliko. Here. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Then, We made a request to have a small change in the order of the program. Then I will ask Petros, that we already know, to make a presentation, short presentation about digital identity wallet and fast checkout customer experience for the transportation hospitality industry that includes, of course, ferries, aviation, hotels, and beyond. Petros.
So actually we had the opportunity to discuss in the morning what's exactly the EUDI wallet, the opportunities which are going to be created for the transportation sector, including the aviation sector, how the airline companies and the airports can use the services of the EUDI wallet in order to create customer value. And instead of repeating all this theory and example, as we did in the morning, I call Nikos to help us with a very short presentation, 2 minutes. We tested the validity of the EUDI wallet, the possibility of validating official entities issued by the European Commission and the Member States in the ferry sector. And by applying this concept to the ferry sector, we discovered new business models that can facilitate the booking process and the journey of the passenger journey through the website of the ferry company. So Nikos will briefly present the experience we accumulated from the ferry industry, and now of course we want to move to the airports and airlines, to the aviation, in order to create new innovation and new business models. The seamless customer journey, as the speaker explained in the morning.
Thank you very much, Petros. Thanks for the invite to present our work here with respect to the European Digital Identity Wallet. Well, essentially, the European Digital Identity Wallet, or any international digital identity wallet in a sense, right, acts as a container that contains both identity documents but can also support flows and augment them. So in the context of the ferry travel, very well-known pain points are of course the whole booking process. You have to manually type all your identity details, you have to manually type all your contact details, then you go through the payment, which again you need usually to retype your credit card information, then you have the OTP, which sometimes might not arrive, and finally the actual boarding pass is sent to you over an email. And then when you go to the ferry, the conditions usually in the islands in Greece in the summer are much worse than standing here in the sun. You can imagine hundreds of people in queue trying to embark on a ferry on an island after their vacation or to go to their vacation. Conditions are very crowded and they have to present their physical identity documents, right, to embark on the ferry, and also to present their boarding passes, which most likely they will have either as PDFs or installed in their phone or even as a printout. And so they have to sweep through their baggages and get the information needed. And if they have claimed any discounts, then they would need to present those attestations that prove to their discount. So there are many pain points in the process, which are very similar to the aviation industry, right? Booking is very similar. Of course, the process of going to the airport and going through border control and so on is much better in the airports, which are closed spaces, etc. But again, the pain points remain. These are all instances where friction to the customer takes place, right? So using the EUDI wallet, we were able to redesign the whole passenger flow. So the passenger can now, at this moment, today was the first real transaction that was made to book a ferry ticket using the EUDI wallet and pay in production. They can present all the necessary information that is needed to book a ferry ticket, authorize the payment, and receive at the end of a successful authorization by the bank both the boarding pass and the receipt in a simple interaction with the wallet. So what we have seen is that indeed the wallet if you rethink a little bit the customer journey and redesign a little bit the flow, can indeed offer much better user experience to the customer. Of course, to the aviation industry, the benefits go beyond only the booking and beyond the paying for the tickets and so on. Because one of the most critical aspects of the aviation industry, which is not part of the ferry industry, is the checks, the security checks during the boarding of the plane. The European Digital Identity Wallet can contain biometrics of the passengers, and these biometrics are stored inside of the device, so you can present them at gate, and you don't need to invest huge amounts for building secure databases that store the passengers' biometric information prior to the flight, while booking the ticket, for example, in order to have this seamless or smart boarding process that is very current and very hot in the overall discussion. So while this technology hasn't been rolled out yet, it will be rolled out in the next year by the European Union, and all member states, all citizens will have at their disposal such a digital identity wallet. So wrapping up a little bit, based on our experience from the pilots in the ferry industry, we believe that there is a lot of added value, a lot of benefit to embracing, in a sense, the European Digital Identity Wallet, or in general identity wallets, to present to the passengers a more competitive experience and make their process much more enjoyable.
Thanks, Nikos. The UDI wallet is the one phase of the moon. It is the entry point to the seamless customer experience, passenger experience. The other phase of the moon is the biometrics. And when it comes to biometrics, we selected Tech 5. Rob is here. Rob, yeah, please. We selected Tech 5 as a partner. So they have a lot of experience in biometrics. They have been working with governments, airline companies, and other partners in different countries of the world. So it is important to combine knowledge, the knowledge we have at the University of the Aegean on this new tool, new concept, European Digital Identity and European Digital Identity Wallet, with the existing biometrics experience of Tech 5, so to create a solid offering to the industry and other providers. Prof.
Thank you. I absolutely won't give the same presentation that I gave this morning, because that went on for quite a while. But it's really just to say that in putting biometrics into the wallet, what you're doing is essentially moving away from needing to check a database. So you're decentralizing the identity check. If I've got a credential in my wallet, it can be any credential, but let's say it's a credential derived from my e-passport. In the same way you can trust my e-passport if your e-gate reads my e-passport, because you know that it's going through a lot of checks at the chip level to prove that the passport was issued by a legitimate government, that the passport is still valid, that it follows all the rules, and that the data in it is me. If I can derive that data into a credential on a wallet in a way that what we call relying parties, the people who are checking, can trust, then I can check my identity on my wallet and just give you the check mark electronically that I did that. So I check my own biometrics on my device, you get the check, next part of the process. So that can be my passport, that can be for boarding the plane, it can be for security, it can be at any point during the journey, it can be for adding luggage to a journey, as we discussed this morning. But equally, it can be any other credential. So it can be credentials specific to airlines, for loyalty, for access to lounges, for any differentiated point where you need to prove your identity today. And it all moves to the mobile phone, and you remove that need to check a database. What nobody wants, and this goes for airports as much as anybody else, because we work a lot with banks and telcos and other verticals, they don't want customer databases with biometrics in them. It's a liability. They certainly don't want customer databases that they have to check. So in lots of countries, just to give you a quick example, to to get a SIM card, there is legislation in order to cut down digital fraud. To get a phone contract, in other words, a SIM card, you have to give over your biometrics. And in some countries that means face, fingers, and sometimes iris data as well. Those telcos don't want to have to create a database to do that. So in the countries where there is a database, they need to be able to check once that SIM card can be issued to the person requesting it. But that's done through a secure government channel. Once you've done that check once, whenever you need to check that person's identity afterwards, you're only checking on the device. So I can take questions if you like, but I think we covered a lot this
I
morning.
think it's a real an easy conclusion here. The biometrics is one of the future trends of this industry. The adoption of the UDI wallet makes the adoption of the biometrics easier, less costly, and of course it can accelerate, specifically for peripheral airports, the adoption of the biometrics and the provision of services that really promise the famous seamless travel journey.
And I think just to cap this off, if I was talking to any other industry, if this were a banking conference, I might be telling people something that sounds alien to them. At least within travel, biometrics is already used today. We're all using our biometrics with our e-passports. It's not a massive leap to imagine just a different way of managing that.
This is it.
All good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Then, this is also another proof of about the University of the Aegean. They don't do only academics, but they are pro-industry involvement, and it's quite critical for
and we're looking forward to getting more involved.
And we're looking forward to keep updated, and hopefully next year we'll have you here again.
Yeah, that's right.
With more applications in the aviation industry.
No, actually, already not case studies, but the real action, the real life.
In which case, if anybody here has any influence, I'd like a direct flight from Lisbon to Athens next time.
There is a much.
Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning, landing at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, well, you didn't say direct, you say... I think they have twice a day. Not every
The only one I could find was after midnight. It was not a pleasant flight.
I prefer it. Anyway, then we move now to the first of the two panels, and I will be the pleasure to moderate and have really great speakers, and Costin Iordache, I say correct, Costin, is the CEO of TAROM, then Michal, Nowak, and Andreas, Papatheodorou, that you already saw them. Then please take your seats here. Then in the next hour, a little bit less, we're going to have a nice discussion about current topics regarding aviation and tourism. And we already heard quite a few things from the morning with Michal, but as we now we have the let's say manufacturers and the academic part and the airline part. It's good to have this kind of interaction. Okay. We live in, I'm not talking about what's happening right now, but the last year we have faced a little bit unpredictable environment. And Ukraine is neighborhood country with Romania. How do you see things going for this summer? Forget about what's happening now. Nobody knows what happened. Hopefully not something terrible for humanity. How you see things? How will you see things after COVID? And if you are optimistic.
The entire aviation world was looking to see where was going to shop. I think that it was the most affected industry together with the tourism, but I think it was most affected than the tourism because aviation is not just tourism, it's about the connectivity, putting people together, traveling, business, connecting, meeting people. So this industry was, I think, the most affected in the COVID period. So it was a shock for the entire industry. The entire industry was receiving this like a bomb. I think nobody expected something like this would happen. The industry was not prepared in any risk assessment for such a scenario. After COVID, the recovery phase, it was also debate how the recovery phase will be. It will be like this, it will be like this. It was
U-shape, L-shape.
Exactly. It was a lot of
U-shape, yeah, V-shape, whatever, yeah, we have all the shapes.
Yes, it was a lot of discussion. People try to choose one of the strategies, I'm talking from the decision makers, which would be the industry does look, people wanted to travel, they showed ability to travel, everybody was surprised. What we find out at this moment is that when you cut an industry, you don't cut just an industry, you cut the entire chain. So we see that even as the people are traveling, we don't find any more people. The handler was affected, airports has affected, Eurocontrol has affected, and then we're going to the producer. The aircraft, the entire chain of producing spare parts for maintenance and everything was affected. Maintenance in air factories has been affected. So in this situation we had a huge bump evolution like this, but the entire logistics chain has been affected because everybody is running again for aircraft, for spare parts, for maintenance facilities, for a lot of it. And after we think we are going to reshape, we have a war in Ukraine. The fuel is going like crazy. The entire oil is going in 2022, I think it's going 1,200. So the entire industry, again, it was a new shock, not like this. I said, okay, we know how to handle now with the shock, we know how to handle it. And then we have the Israeli shock that is continuing to be. From 2023 to now, is going from a small regional effect, we are going now, hope not to a new global effect. If the oil will start again rising, then the inflation will go up, and then so we are going like in a roller coaster, the industry. And
Always was, aviation, to be honest. And then always was vulnerable to
and
expense.
unfortunately, this year was also a bad year for the aviation. We had one tragic accident now in India, and last year we had another tragic accident in South Korea. So these things will never happen in the last year of time. So these things again are a black shadow on what's happening there. So what I have to say, I'm optimistic, and I hope that the things will stop, and they're going to continue to develop the aviation and to see. But I think that this world will go to consolidate, and in the same time to be more going to isolate it by country. Let's see.
What do you mean isolate by country?
The people will start rebuilding the boundaries between the countries as it was before. So before, now we said, well, it's right to make free market supply. It seems that the regulator will start pushing more and more into countries, making the Eastern Asia, and these more countries will continue to be Middle East, the people out of market.
Then, based on your reservation for the summer, are you, let's say, satisfied, happy?
This summer it will be a good, not like, it probably will be a good summer. We'll continue to see better numbers. This is how we show the forward looking for July and August. It is obvious what's happening now in the Middle East can affect what's happening in end of August, September.
Yeah, it depends if there will be
Like
something finished soon or...
in Europe, in July, August, people have the holiday books, they continue to book the holidays. Everyone will be exposed. And we have problems in terms of delays.
Yeah, well, I will come back. Then, Michal, from the manufacturer perspective, we hear more and more about not available of aircraft. I'm not talking about Embraer, but you know, this affects the whole ecosystem. Then engine spare part problems. Then how you see the industry moving. You have a fantastic aircraft, efficient aircraft, new clients joining the fleet. Then how you see the things? Are you optimistic for the current situation?
It's it's not easy. I think we're optimistic and it's going good. As you said, we have a lot of positives in the end, but it's struggle. It's struggle like week after week, month and fighting. And
Everyone is struggling here.
I know, but okay, there's this phenomenon of recency bias, right? You always have a feeling that whatever happened recently is kind of a more impactful or greater. And so when we are talking that nowadays it's more turbulent than ever, you never know what it in fact is. But I have a feeling that it is, right? Those things that you mentioned, they seem to be occurring more and more often. One overlaps with another one, so it's a challenge over new challenge. Before the previous one finished, you started your question with the Ukraine, right? Okay, we kind of learned how to live with it, but the big question mark still remains: what happens next when it opens, right? Who's gonna be the first? How to restore the connectivity? Where to pull this capacity from, etc. It's a positive news, but it's gonna be another turmoil in a way. So yeah, just like restoring the connectivity after COVID was a challenge, maybe not the same scale. Fortunately, at a certain point, the war will be over and we start going to be normalizing the situation in the world, whether it's going to be next year, 3 years, or 5 years from now. At a certain point, probably we're going to start overflying Siberia again. But who's going to be the first? Whether it's going to be equitable division of flying right or not? Whole new challenge. And this is only one of 100 probably that we're going to have to face. Coming back to my backyard, OEMs you mentioned. Yes, there's a saying like that the chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and whereas I think both ourselves, Embraer, and our direct competitors, Airbus and Boeing, we've did relatively good job. I think Embraer did a very good job in restoring capacity. As I said, we're not causing the delays because of manpower shortages in our factories. But people have to remember that as an OEM, we are basically the designer, engineering company, and then we assembly mostly the components.
You don't have delays
we do. No, in terms of the delivery we have smaller, we still measure them in weeks, not months.
Okay. Which is nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
But we'd love not to have any, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I don't want to play blame game, as I said, but it's enough that along this very complicated supply chain, someone went a little bit more aggressive with the cuts, and then the restoring of capacity affects the entire chain, right? And we've already said it many times. The kind of the key bottleneck for the entire industry was casting and forging, which affected the industry ability to produce the blades, the engine blades, hence the delays on the engine production, coupled with technical durability challenges on one of the engine family. Unfortunately, also the engine that we've been using led to a lot of grounding. But as I said, I don't wanna. It would be very unfair for me to point the fingers at it because of them. Because if magically we were able to restore the capacity around the forging of the metal, very quickly would identify another bottleneck, because chip manufacturing was a bottleneck. I don't know, for 9 months I think we're struggling to get delivery of one spare part. I think it was some replacement element for the LED lighting, blending lighting, or a bulb, basically a bulb. We are missing a bulb, which sounds trivial, but led to many groundings for our operators. But pessimistic or optimistic? Optimistic.
Good. I'm too.
The indicators, quality KPIs on our spare parts availability going visibly up for many months now. Availability of engines, or at least Pratt & Whitney delivers already more engines for our production lines than they originally predicted. For the MRO capacity for the engines, also positive news. We already see for the first time more completions of the engine overhauls than the English word? Induction. So basically, the backlog of the engines waiting for the overhaul is getting smaller. This finally now translates into less and less grounded aircraft.
Okay.
I think in the worst moment we had around 18% of our eco fleet grounded because of the engines. How much? 18. Still better than our competitors. I think on the 320 Neo it was at certain point close to 40%. But across the board, all of the platforms are now starting to see the improvement and increased availability. So I think that, I hope by the next year, Kostas, when you do another forum, the supply chain at least will stop being a topic, and we will be moved with 99 other challenges that we have to deal with.
Yeah, well, one thing new ones, there is a lot uncertainty. I will come back. Then, Andreas, you come from the other part of the air transport equation. Then we talk also in the morning, we talk about the MBA. Then they say during crisis, companies tend to invest on training and education. Do you believe that now we are in a bit of crisis? Would you believe that would be many more companies doing not only exclusive in aviation but the tourist sector to do more training in order to improve, than invest for the future?
Well, I would say that we are in what we call a permanent crisis, a permanent crisis. So,
I like that.
unfortunately, we need to think beyond what was traditionally defined as a crisis. And from basically the economic theory says that when the opportunity cost of doing business is lower, then it's a good time to invest in education. Meaning, if business is going down, it's better to educate your people and invest in the future productivity. Of course, the very assumption behind this concept is that you have the money to do so. Because if you are close to bankruptcy, or if you are afraid that you're going to train people and then they will move on elsewhere, then obviously you wouldn't have any real incentive to help them get further education in the field. So I think that it's quite important to think outside the box. And if you look, for example, at the recent report published by the European Commission, the famous Draghi report about competitiveness in Europe, it seems that we have a big problem, very much related to procrastination, but also related to the fact that we don't innovate as much as possible. So I think it's quite important to see how we can possibly develop public and private partnerships at different levels, obviously in the context of investment, but also perhaps in the context of education as well. So I think perhaps the public sector can also become more proactive, and governments can also help airlines and other parts of the industry, perhaps even to subsidize employees who are interested in furthering their education.
On this concept of training during the downturn, I think, sorry that I wish that Simon was still with us. One thing that I really regret is the ATC, that this was the perfect moment for the ATC to kind of close the gap in terms of skilled, trained controllers to help, and we didn't. I think someone else did.
Well, what I was thinking, Simon is part of the industry board in the upcoming MBA, and he's got a lot of interest and help, and it's found it really critical for exactly what he's saying. Then, of course, if not only country would recommend, then every MSP has to decide what the focus has to be on. Then, returning to Andreas, we said, and Costin said, and it's known that we have shortage of staff. Then, we don't have training, we don't have this kind of thing. Do you believe that the university can help over this direction in order to really not solve the problem, but to, let's say, reduce?
Many of the staff shortages are related to the field of operations. So universities might not be able to directly help them in terms of frontline employees, but having said that, as we all know, there are very strong synergies between management and operations anyway. So in this context, I would certainly agree that we can help you as well, and when there is a good connection between universities and the industry, then we can also prepare the future leaders based on what the industry requires.
Then,
so I would say that shortages are a big problem, but if we can somehow go through the entire ecosystem of education and see what is needed, for example, by pilot schools, what is needed by vocational schools, and also the type of education delivered by universities at undergraduate and postgraduate level, then yes, I think we can move forward positively.
As the university, as we said earlier, is not only dealing with aviation, mainly about tourism, then do you see interest from the people to study and have an MBA or bachelor in tourism? That is part of the aviation ecosystem.
Yeah, certainly, because people are obviously interested in getting a job. Many people understand that just being on a hands-on operational job might be too difficult, or something that they don't want to do forever. For example, in our university, we have people who come to do our postgraduate degree who have experience working in the hotel industry or other parts of the tourism industry, and now they want to get the necessary managerial skills to move up in the career ladder. And the other thing that we notice is that people become more and more interested in getting a systemic approach of things. So they may have an expertise in hotels, but they also realize that hotels exist because there's somebody that brings these people to these hotels. So all the structural interrelationship between air transport, hotels, and the other parts of the tourism industry, I think it's getting more and more appreciated, not only at the policy level, but also by those who are involved in it.
Costin, we heard from Andreas and the perspective of the people, training, education, and so on. Do you, as a company, the culture of the company TAROM is to train their staff and to improve their skills? And not only, it's an airline, but it's linked with tourism, then it's part of, as I said earlier, with ecosystem.
Yeah, it's part of the culture. It's something that, within the same time, also some missing of flexibility. It's part of the culture to train the people. This needs somehow also investment, because normally we need to build a process in a such a way that you invest in people, but in the same time you also retain the people. You need to build this process. This is one of the topics, the hot topics that organizations have in front. And not only TAROM, I see many airlines looking to create such an environment that they invest in people, train the people, and keep the people, and retain the good of the people. This puts pressure on the university and the other activities on the school, because I give an example from competitors who have for the cabin crew. They take people directly from the school, they invest in the training, they spend money for the training school, and they keep them to do that. The other work under the job. This is the way, and in this way that it is very simple. A lot of people are unqualified, so they need some of loans for a longer period without a low price. So this has in terms of competition, but we see. This doesn't allow the normal schools to develop and offer as a career solution to go in this job.
Michal, Embraer, the same approach about education, training of the staff?
We try, but we are definitely, we are affected. I think the angle that I wanted to maybe explore a little bit is perception of aviation in general. So I think it's somehow stuck. We used to be probably 30, 40, 50 years ago a magnet for everyone because it was a dream industry for everyone to wait.
Sorry to interrupt. Some of you know the part of IAF. 2 years ago, Google made a press release that the dream job in the planet is still a pilot. 2 years ago. Then we are still sexy.
But I think we lost a little bit. And I think it's
Yeah, but I mean, if you see the figures, quite big difference. I mean, still a dream job, huh?
good, but we need not only pilots, we need
True. Yeah, they have to become pilot. Yeah, but the pilot needs the engineers and so on. Then the whole ecosystem, APC and so on. But still, it's not influencer, it's not a YouTuber and so on.
When I ask my children, unfortunately both of them named YouTuber us on the first on the top of the list, which terrifies me a little bit. But I'm gonna stand by. I think that is part of the problem, right? It is the flip side of commoditization, I think, of our industry. There's a lot of greatness that that happened because of lowering the cost and making the product life bubble more accessible and more democratic. Loads of benefits. But probably the flip side also is it stopped being a little bit as sexy as it was, as unique. What's the connection to the workforce? I think when it is sexy, when everyone wants to work it, you don't have to pay this much, right? Because people want to fly anyway. They want to have the benefit of traveling. It's exotic, it's nice. You get the access to the staff tickets. Now they are worth less and less and less because you will fly with 88% load factor. So finding the spot became even more difficult. Suddenly, you see that retention is becoming a little bit of a problem because you don't pay as much as some other industries, big tech, etc., and people are running away. And we see that the momentum around this to bring those people back, these are not the processes that you can fix with from 1 month to another, right?
It's interesting you say that because they have had to pay. I was with the CEO of a large American carrier not too long ago. Left seat on a wide body, base pay $470,000 plus benefits.
Pilot is a separate topic. Pilot is
even now ground staff, what used to be inexpensive, now almost 35, 40. Sorry?
Pilots still remain the highest income.
Of course, but even he was saying his ground staff now are getting close to, like baggage handlers are getting close to $35, $40 an hour. Base pay.
One of the issues on the operational staff, I don't know even for the aircraft, the problem with the operational staff, when talking from the airlines, is that how easy you bring the staff in your airline. This is a process that is regulated in most of the countries, and even in Europe it's regulated by EASA, and it complicates the story of bringing the people, makes them very difficult. It's somehow not an alignment because the people you need and the people you pay. Okay, even for the pilots that's difficult. But as I in the ground, I give just a single example. One of the unqualified work is an example from the famous movie on Queen, Freddie Mercury from the movie Aviation. He started as a baggage handler on Heathrow for airport. For now in Romania, to bring the baggage handler, you need 30 days just to have the validation to be able to go in the airport, the officer staff. So you lose 30 days induction training just to have it there. And then this is the unqualified work. After 2 weeks he said, I don't work anymore, I leave out. And you need another 45 days to bring somebody.
Right.
So this puts pressure on the people who are working, theoretically, because when they have a and this creates delay. And the same problem you have also now. And this is something that again is coming to the regulator, and they're talking about aero control. They know they have an issue, they know they could be a busy summer, and again, they don't have enough controllers for ATC during the summer. Okay? Because it's a job that they cannot shift it on the periods. They need higher capacity on summer, and they need to pay during the winter. Because you cannot bring just in the summer and in the winter to let them ski.
The busiest desk in the U.S. in Peterborough and Newark has one training position in the center, and they're short.
Well, we saw it happen with the
They're
accident.
short hundreds, right? I mean, if you can only train one person at a time in the desk, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But to answer the core of your questions, yes, training and education is super important at the heart of what we do because Embraer was actually born as an add-on to the educational institution, right? And we Brazil first established the engineering university, and then around this only Embraer as a commercial entity was established. This cooperation continues still today. As one of part of our social contribution, we actually established 2 high schools to tap into the potential of people that are maybe not as well off and otherwise would not have access to the high quality education. So one of the top high schools in Brazil are being run by Embraer. We don't make anyone to sign any loyalty. You know, when you finish our high school, you have to go work with Embraer. But we already have few of the graduates of those schools who got passionate about STEM, engineering, then went to the engineering universities and did return to Embraer. We still try to, as the rest of the university, to enlarge the target audience, because still this is a very male-dominated industry, and pilots or engineers, we still have like a ratios of 10 to 90, so there is a potential to bring in, but I'm going to stand by what I said. We cannot be complacent, whereas in the past maybe we could have had a shortcomings on the overall package salary or something, because we made it up with being a desired one. I think right now we also have to make sure that we are competitive. Embraer in the past was the name in Brazil to work with. So we had zero problems recruiting.
Okay.
Now, like the last 5-10 years, we started losing people to banks, consulting, pharma during COVID kind of stole 10 or 100 people from Embraer. On top of it,
Why? Okay.
that's as simple as this, money. Now on top of it, we have to compete with other industry players. Boeing was about to merge with Embraer. One of the biggest carrots for them was the access to the Brazilian engineering capabilities. The marriage didn't happen. What Boeing did? Boeing established
the end might be better.
I don't regret at all, but what Boeing did, Boeing established an engineering center in San Jose dos Campos, the very city where, and already hired, I think, higher than 1,500 people. So people in Embraer,
demand?
people in Embraer, they have an opportunity, and I still have people on my team who receive the offers, and they are able from one day to another to triple their salary, and they still stay. So whatever I'm saying about, the emotions and love not being there, no, we still have it, but yeah, I think those tensions are getting larger and larger, and we simply have to become more competitive.
That's a long discussion, it's a big work that we have to work on. Andrea, environment and tourism and aviation. Then, aviation, the extension tourism, blamed to be not environmental friendly, pollute, CO2, blah, 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 this kind of thing. Did you make a study regarding this? I mean, the trend, not only about the aviation, but include all the aviation, all the tourism ecosystem. Then, it's something that you see a trend that people, they don't want to fly, or after COVID, as I saw, many people jump to the planes and forget that we are not anymore so polluted.
Well, I think this in the European context we can talk about a north-south divide. So if you talk to Northern Europeans, they tend to be more environmentally sensitive, but Southern Europeans, and I would say that this is expected for different reasons. First of all, tourism plays a much more important role in Southern European economies compared to Northern European economies. So obviously,
it's still mostly northerners that come to visit to India.
I'll come to that.
Greta is now occupied with Gaza.
Second thing is about geography. So, for example, in Greece, because of this geographical discontinuity and all these different islands, aviation is of essence. Now, having said that, we also need to consider that we rely on inbound tourism, and obviously people sometimes they might express discontent theoretically, but when they are to go on the summer holidays, they would just take a plane and go. And one of the things that we saw after COVID-19 was the so-called revenge tourism, and people just wanted to get their lives back and embark on an airplane and go down to Southern Europe or in many other different places. So I would say that yes, there is a bit of a north-south divide. There are different perceptions about the environment, but increasingly I think people realize the importance of transport, and they get more into being pragmatic and more in terms of finding solutions how to make the industry cleaner rather than not flying at all. And I think it's also a matter of us as an industry and also universities to convey the message about the economic and social benefits of the transport sector, and how we can also take all the necessary steps to mitigate the environmental impacts. And I think your initiative, Aviation for All, is also very important in this context. So it's obviously about sustainability and the three pillars of sustainability: economic, social, and environmental, but it's also about resilience, and obviously resilience proved of major importance during COVID-19 when all these medical equipment, vaccines, whatever, were transported by air. So again, it's a matter of how you build a narrative and how you communicate with them.
Costin, this is so you were coming from another industry, then being in this industry, and after COVID, this is so. What was Romanians' perception about aviation regarding the environment? It's considered like the North Europeans, as Andreas said, that they see a little bit different approach. Like in Greece, we don't talk about tourism is not a word we don't know in Greece. And then nobody complaining regarding this, and also we don't talk about. Of course, we are sensitive about the environment, but it's not, let's say, something will not allow us to fly.
For the customers in Romania or for the market, Romanian market, we don't see there is a highly sensitivity on the price. We are talking with a highly sensitive price market. So people are more sensitive. There is an interest for the environment, but we don't see a critical mass of population who will willing to pay in order to sustain the fuel oil consumption. It's something that is a Western part. We see to the many airlines, we see for SAS. As an example, they have a lot of customers who are paying for the SAS for the CO2, for the additional CO2.
Do you have in your website the option to buy stuff?
We don't have a critical mass now, so we use the dramatic because there is some cost.
Okay.
But this is the idea. It's something that we don't see as well. But there are a lot of aspects that we see which are happening and still coming in about the time. So in a nutshell, the willingness to travel is more present than not to travel because of the environment.
Okay.
But there is obviously the likeness for green. We see airports in Romania that developing green culture, and people like the green. They like to see when they see electric buses, when they see electric stairs, and they don't see so much diesel on the airport.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just very, I'm very interested in what's going on in Romania. We've been doing a bit of work with Adi and the team at Romasada, and the numbers I saw were incredible. In 2025, almost 26 million passengers through the Romanian airports. And I hope I'm right, but it was the research. 26 million, right? 26. And the population is what? 20 million people. 20 million people. So it's incredible. And then the impact on GDP for tourism was like $3 billion or something dollars, not excluding the business benefits. So it is such an important aviation. What you guys are doing at airports and what you're doing in the airlines is so important to Romania. I mean, it's incredible for such an isolated country in a very difficult region. You know, in a geopolitical.
You have to
It's
admit
so
that
important.
we are far away from the Western Europe. If you compare the number of passengers in Switzerland, you see it's 4 times bigger, 6 times bigger than the population. We are talking in Switzerland more than 20 million or 30 million passengers on the airport, on two airports, having a population of 9 million. So the potential in Romania is big.
It's huge.
It's huge. The touristic approach, I think, is huge when visitors come. Now we're seeing a lot of traffic. It's coming because Romania is still having an important part of the people working outside in Europe, and that is somehow the only way to have the connectivity with the country and for the family. That they need the aircraft in order to come to the country.
I see tremendous growth. I think the growth there is going to, because wherever you go in Europe now, everywhere is crowded, and I think your numbers are right, that the opportunity is going to be much bigger. And the value creation of aviation in your space, in Romania in particular, is going to be very impressive.
David knows better, but I think the number for Romania is 30-40 million passengers in the next 5 years, I think, or something like that. Yeah. So we expect 30 million probably in the next 5 years to be reached, and probably 40 million in another 5 years. So this is unbelievable, and the growth rate is very good. We expect the infrastructure to be, include this one example, they develop their industry development, but we expect also the other airports to go in this direction.
So, I mean, obviously, you know, as a flag carrier, you play an important role, and I think the idea here, what you were talking about, the question is really, what else can you do to speed up the staff, the infrastructure, the automation, like, because it's like a train coming down the track with a lot of energy and no way to stop it, and if you're not ready, it's going to be a big missed opportunity, or going to be some...
But after we are here between friends every time when we are invited here, so I'm open to talk more free than this. Yes, we are the flag carrier, but the most of part of this development of the local is belonging to the local carriers. This is the reality today. It's not our matter. So yes, we keep the market, we exist, and we keep the market for connectivity part. We're keeping the brand, but the development and the huge increase is being by the local carriers.
But you have connectivity, they don't. You have connectivity through SkyTeam, right? And,
yes.
And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of tourism from maybe different regions that it'll look different in the next few years.
We are offering for the business the connectivity, but we are offering the traveling opportunities and the outbound tourism for the Romanians. And this is what we do.
Actually, I want to go back to the first part of the discussion. We certainly face an acute crisis in the Middle East, perhaps the most important after the war between Iran and Iraq. Israel is also affected, the economy and the society, in terms of high inflation, and eventually brain drain, something they discuss a lot at this point of time. Do you think that the widest area of Middle East will be affected as a tourist destination, for example, Dubai or the airport of Doha? Does the industry have some provision, already some provisions in this regard?
I want to. One topic, you have to admit that the conflict now we have blocked Europeans and the United States blocked Russia. So all the European carriers and the United States are not flying over the Russians to reach Asia. This is one topic. And we start learning not to fly over Russia at this moment, and the route are affecting the price, affecting the cost, affecting the time of the passengers. Now another route is flying like affecting Asia, because most of the routes to Asia are flying over Iran and are over Iran at this moment. These routes are closed now and everything is going. So we see a congestion that is happening in that area, because everybody would like to go on the shortest route. You don't want to go to fly to South Africa and then back to Asia. So this will be a problem in that area, including that these airports, Doha Airport and Dubai Airport, has been built as connectivity airports. So this airport has been built just to collect traffic and to spend the traffic to Asia. Yeah? Normally the destinations that are currently affected, it's not in their target market. I don't see that was enough target market to Iran or Baghdad at the moment from this. But the problem is the blockage that is happening in that area, and it will be the price of the fuel. We have to, there is a risk in front of us of 20% of the oil that will be blocked for a period of time until the new solution will be identified. And this time will create a shortage in the market, will increase the prices, and we don't know how will be the additional route and how we create additional route. These things will appear, and nobody has no solution because nobody has certainty. Because you don't bring a solution for the oil, it will take time. It's like it's happening for Europe for the gas. With the Ukrainian, you have not to forget the fear of the winter that was happening in the entire Europe. Western Europe.
Well, the way Qatar just closed. You remember it's Qatar? Oh yeah? Okay, that's now even more interesting. Let's as we approach the end of the panel, let's go to optimistic. Well, we are optimists, and too, then let's be optimistic. Then I was, as I said earlier, in India for Aviation a couple of weeks ago with Costin. Then Peter said that every week one aircraft, the next decade. Then it's the next big market for the aviation world and tourism. India, China.
So,
well, everyone says to shift to Asia, but definitely. I think everyone is agreeing on that. But
so the answer is yes, to China or India. For us it's both. For the first time this year we actually separated China only now as a separate sub-region in our market outlook. And it is still the fastest growing region in our prediction, China.
And China, no
China, we separated it from wider Asia Pacific.
India?
I'm gonna come back to India in a second. So in China there's still amazing potential to increase domestic connectivity, even despite all the high-speed train and the domestic networks are a little bit messy and random, and I think they are also looking into it, how to build that proper hubs in there, and so traffic will be growing, demand is there, and very little demand. China is a country with one of the lowest backlogs, fleet backlogs globally, so they have now their own production but very limited capacity, little backlogs, and on top of it now some trade back and forth. Okay, the Boeing deliveries unlocked again, but you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So for us, we have some hopes with China, but in the end, you have to remember that China, which is now the second biggest country in the world, not the first, by the end of this century is predicted to be only 500 million people, like a drastic decline.
Yeah, but the other what Peter said is that we say is not the fact that India is growing, but it's also young people, because also, as you exactly said,
and
there is age population in China then, and they tried, and it was, Prime Minister Modi that delivered a keynote speech in Iatrou, I was saying that the dream is that every Indian, 1.3 billion by the way, will be able to fly.
Hence the answer on India. Let me answer you with saying that this year we have opened a full subsidy independent company based in India. We have established the office there. We are hiring people. So for a reason, of course, this growth is still I would say it is still relatively modest. If you look at the last 5-10 years for what is the potential, and it was really stimulated a channel through Indigo in a sense, which understood properly that at this stage of the market development, the lower cost is something that is crucial to stimulate people to fly. But as middle class will be growing, as the market will be maturing, I think there will be a certain convergence of the way that Indians are flying towards what we see in a more mature market. And I think we believe this will create also the opportunities for our segment. So far, our presence in India is super limited. We have one operator, TAROM. They are growing their fleet. We are hoping we'll still see the 32s within a year or two. But of course, the big game is with the big carriers in Indigo and India. We're talking to both of them. As I said, their priorities for now are somewhere else. It's about making sure that those 500 aircraft will be implemented into the fleet.
And fly.
Wide bodies are on their mind, but as soon as you're starting to play wide body games on a bigger scale, you need also proper hub feeding, and this is where I think will be one of the next to come and tap into this market.
Costin, we talked about India then. Is the potential for Europe, or it's already mature? There is no really room for increase, or limited increase, based on the aging population in Europe. I don't know.
From my view of on the European market, European market will go in a consolidated mode. There will be a lot of consolidation of the European market. The small aircraft will become more and more important.
When you mean small aircraft,
Like 100 to 120 seaters will become more and more important. And
more point-to-point?
I don't think more point-to-point, it's really more connectivity. I will not bet on the point-to-point.
Okay.
Because on the point-to-point, that will be the train, it will be the alternative that will come more and more in front of it will be one of the biggest competitors of the low-cost operators in Europe, and also for the legacy players to be the train. If Europe will continue to invest in the trains, like it's happening in the western part, this will become a more and more competitive. Again, it's a bet. It's a bet, and it's depending on how the infrastructure and the authorities will sustain and build will invest in the train. For us here in the south part, talking about Romania, after some days, train is not one of the success stories. if I know the competitiveness.
Andreas, from
I would certainly agree that India has a great potential, and as we know, Indigo recently announced a direct flight between Delhi and Athens. So again, from a tourist point of view, it's important to study the profile of Indian tourists and what they look for while they're on vacation, and how the tourist experience can be enhanced and upgraded. So certainly I believe that this is and again, there seems to be a mismatch between demand
to put things into perspective, one statistic that I like very much is apparently 80% of global population so never flew, not a single time in their life. Which shows you kind of...
We were talking about aviation for all about this. But they never flew, but most of them are affected from aviation. And their life, well, it's a good example of it.
I want to say that from the 80%, to more than half is in India.
Oh, yeah,
And there is, as we heard the helicopters, and I wanted to close, we had a discussion with W yesterday about vehicles. And, you are very working, Embraer and, with, then when we really were going to see this happening, then, and how, because we see helicopters expensive, then VTOL will change the aviation ecosystem.
So we stand by in terms of a technical readiness and verification by our commitment 2027, even though our prototypes have not flew a single time yet. But we have a different philosophy. A lot of startups in this field, they want to make the YouTube video as fast as possible to construct something that is flying, and then they start thinking, okay, what I need to modify to make it certifiable. They do it, and suddenly the vehicle stops flying because it becomes too heavy or something. We are thinking about certificability from the day on, and we believe that we plan to fly for the first time this year. The route to certification will be
Will it be in Australia or?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I think we will do it. I was expecting Brazil, but don't know where. So the timeline is still there. This research for last week, we made for the first time a full mock-up demonstration on how does it look like. We signed the first firm deal because all of those players had 1,000 commitments, etc. But of course there's almost zero deposit, so it's like a bit of a marketing tool. For the first time, we secured a commercial firm deal with paid deposits. It's going to be a Brazilian helicopter operator. But I think I might have said it in some different forms a couple of times. We don't kind of believe in this being a revolution that will lead us to the Jetson Light world. And especially if you see this mock-up, touch it, very much looks like a helicopter, right? Those are
but
quite
costless.
But it's costless.
And it's environmental friendly. Compared to
helicopter. So let's say. So yes, I think it's going to be interesting, but it's not going to be something that will bring a revolution to the mobility. I think this is a tool that will simply start replacing helicopters here and there, at least in the initial stage. Then, as the batteries get better, we learn more, maybe more and more use cases. It's going to be cheaper, but it's also, we had a certain prediction as to the target price. This price has, well, maybe not doubled from the beginning of the project, but well, I cannot afford it. Let me say it. I cannot afford it.
Costin, do you believe there will be some, you will say in Romania, aviation or ecosystem?
Depending how expensive it will be the product, you can try to produce. We have in Romania Ferrari,
then as you said,
there is a market for everything.
Then do you believe that will be, as Costin had a really good comment about Ferrari, this will be, again, because helicopter is mainly for rich people, this will get more affordable to more people, or will be, again, just change the way that the rich will fly?
I think when people can afford helicopters, they will still stick to helicopters for quite some time because the utility of helicopters is still range and speed and those kind of ability to navigate in adverse weather conditions. I believe that the primary use cases will be companies that can maximize utilization, invest in proper infrastructure for the charging and exchange of batteries. So I would see still primarily urban areas like Sao Paulo or Nairobi, Johannesburg of this world. Dubai, I think mostly for the image, they like to position themselves as the modern one. I see there some kind of a connecting airports to the city centers. I don't see it in the first place as a toy for the rich and the famous. No. Although I think Monaco-Nice will be one of the first routes to be operated by eVTOL. But take everything that I'm saying, please take with a pinch of the salt. Although it is an Embraer, it's actually our daughter company operating separately. I have nothing to do with what they do. All I know is just by eardropping of what's happening at the other room. So, but it's coming. It's coming, and we'll learn.
I visited the Museum of the Future.
For Greek environment.
Yeah, I visited the Museum of the Future in Dubai 3 weeks ago, and one of the things that they did there was a prototype of Joby Aviation, and they told us that next year officially and formally we will introduce urban air mobility in Dubai. So again, that's very much linked to image that we're mentioning earlier. But in terms of Greece, I think there is also a real case about island hopping. I mean, there is a big issue about island hopping and how to promote island hopping for leisure tourism, but also for business purposes here in Greece. There is a big discussion about how we can use the seaplanes, for example. But again, I think that easy tours might become considering in the future, not in the immediate future, but in the years to come.
We have to somehow learn to tackle the wind in Cyprus.
Yeah.
You told me about the accident the other
Helicopter.
the other week
Yeah,
with the helicopter.
last week. Last word before closing?
Oh, too many words already today.
Please have, thank you.